Are you ready to turn heads? Luxury isn't just worn, it's experienced. Introducing a Layla Cara style and new up-and-coming designer collection where exclusive shoes and bags for men and women meets your feet. How about you take a handbag and wear it in style, where each piece is personally designed by Layla Carroll herself and handcrafted from the finest material in Italy. Leather, smooth like butter, bold, timeless, distinctly you. Step into true elegance and make your mark with a Layla Cara style where confidence meets craftsmanship. Visit a Layla Cara style and experience the luxury of art that you wear. When I first met my second husband, I was in a dilemma. I was in a transition of coming out of one relationship, entering into another with him. On previous podcasts, I have shared with you how we got together. If you want to know that story, go back to the previous podcast and you will be able to hear how we got together. When we got married, everything was wrong. I want to share your foundation is what you stand on. If it's not solid, it will crumble and break. Whenever you get into a relationship of any kind, you need to have a solid, for sure, foundation. Take your time in the beginning of anything. Take your time with it, because the way you build your foundation is going to be the way everything else will be able to withstand against the test of time or fall with the test of time. So you have to literally sit down, think things through, talk things out to yourself, and look for cracks in your foundation before you start building on top of it. That was something I did not do. That's how I was able to fall backwards instead of springing forward. I fell backwards, nearly repeating history. 10 years later, after the divorce with my first husband, I am now I got married when I was 39, and now early 40s, and I am literally repeating my 20s. This is ludicrous yet again. So, when I got with my first husband, my second husband, not my first. When I got with my second husband, when we got married, he also had a vision of what his wife was supposed to be. I want to give you some history on him so you can get a clear understanding why he felt this way. He's single mother. Yeah. His dad, when I got stories on his dad, as his mom would tell me some stories about him, he had some mental illness problems. So I can't say it's hereditary because I don't believe that it was. I believe that this was a mind-made-up thing, a mind-made-up choice for my second husband. Because he had got into a situation when he was in his 20s that he spent some time locked up in prison. I think he did 2 years or something like that. And he was falsely accused of raping, not physically raping someone, but statutory rape. He claimed that he believed the girl was older than 18. And when I saw the report, I did go and do some background history. In the report, she was 17 years old, and he did get pardoned from it. He was pardoned from it, but they never took it off his record. It always stayed there. So if anybody wants to pull it up, they can. And this is where the problem began. With this young girl, as she became, I guess, older. And she made a phone call to him, or they talked over the phone or something like that. And she admit that she lied to him about her age and some other things she admit to him. Well, he took that recording and he took some other stuff. He got a lawyer, whatever, and got himself pardoned from it or whatever. I don't know the whole story to that, so I cannot give the whole story. But what I do know that it affected our marriage deeply. This is something that happened years ago before we even met. And yet he was still living it as if it had just happened. And when I say years, this situation with him it took place in the 80s, 1980 something. And we fast forward to when we get married in 2017, and we are still dealing with this situation. All these years later, I wish I would have known what I know now. Back then, I would have never married him. But I married him not knowing what I was going to be facing later. We dated for 2 years before we got married. We went to Vegas. We got married in Vegas. We pretty much eloped. That's what we did. Although I had on a beautiful wedding dress and all that, he had a nice little tux with her. We still eloped. And he had one of his friends, cousins or somebody there as a witness. But we still eloped. And we did the live video, so anybody could watch it, like my mom, my friends, his people, whatever. But yet we still eloped. I should have known something was wrong when I found out that he never told his mom that he was getting married. I told everybody. He told pretty much nobody. So after we got married and I come around and I'm in his hometown, which is Omaha, Nebraska. When I was there, people was like, you didn't tell nobody you was getting married. Why you got married without inviting us? And it was a lot of that going on to where I didn't even know that he never mentioned us getting married. That was a red flag right there. Why didn't you not mention that you was getting married? And this is his first marriage. This is my second marriage. So I'm thinking like, this is odd. If someone getting married, especially their first time, they gonna tell it. Male or female, you gonna let it be known that you're getting married. Well, I see why he didn't want no one to know, because people started getting in my ear about him and started saying little things like, girl, I can't believe you married him. Good luck. Oh my goodness. Y'all are married? Oh man. Woo, I hope he changed. I hope he ain't the same guy he used to be. I didn't know what that meant because I didn't see that side of him too much. I saw a little glimpse of it though. Right before we got married, I did see a little glimpse of it with my friend who came over, and I had to deal with him getting upset about my friend coming over to the house. And then my dad telling him to go outside, go cool down. But I had no idea there was more to that. This is why I say take your time. Don't be desperate to get married. So, anyways, when his mom found out we got married, he finally told her. These are the words she said to me. I'm so happy you're my daughter-in-law. Yes, I finally got a daughter-in-law. I thought I would never get a daughter-in-law because he's something else. But you know what? He's your problem now, not mine. I don't have to worry about it no more. And I'm thinking, what? That is not a good thing to say. What and who did I marry? Okay, that is not a good thing to say. This is your son. He's my problem now? She was not lying. He really was a problem. Oh, he was a problem. When she found out was also the day that he was getting his things to move to Houston. And he had a job. He had gotten hired at Sears in Houston, home improvement. And it seemed like we were going to have a promising marriage. When he came, he arrived. He brought all his stuff inside. I had an apartment at that time, a 2-bedroom, and he moved in with me. And as you can see the pattern here, they moving in with me. I don't want to move with them. That's a pattern, right? Yeah, it is. But of course, I have broken that pattern with my current husband now. I moved into his house. He have a house that he owns, paid for, bought it with his stuff, and I moved in with him. But that's a whole nother story in its own entirety. So back to my second husband. When he moved in, he went to work. He was doing well for the first 2, 3 months. Things was looking promising. That day came when he decided he didn't want to work no more. That's when hell began in our marriage. He did not want to work anymore. He started making excuses about driving and gas prices and having to go to people's houses, and he was only making commission, and if he didn't make a sale he wasn't getting paid, all this stuff. And he painted a picture to make it seem like he was wasting his time and wasting gas, to the point to where I started buying in on it. And then he would say, I'm gonna get another job, but right now we could save some money with gas if I'm not driving around to people's houses every single day. Because yeah, I will make a sale and then I had that check until I can make another sale. But the thing is that I'm spending money on gas. So I started thinking that, yeah, you're right. You are spending money on gas. Okay, what you gonna do then? I'm gonna get another job. I'm gonna find another job. So I just went on with it. He quit his job and he was not finding another job. He was not finding another job. He just was not finding another job. And it was driving me insane because I'm paying all the bills. I'm taking care of everything. And on top of me paying all the bills and taking care of everything, he's arguing with me. He's fussing with me. He's picking a fight with me. He's constantly finding a reason to just keep on nagging about something. He had a personality of a nagging wife. That's what his personality was like. It was always something bothering him, always something that he needed to complain about, and it was driving me nuts. Yes, I tried my best not to go back and forth with him because I did not want to argue and I didn't want to bring in the same energy that I brought in my first marriage to the second one. So I would pray and I would ask God to guide me in the situations that was occurring. And I would also ask God to bless him with a job. And then he would get a job and he would stay at that job for 2 weeks. And then he would come home and say, I quit. What you quit for? I didn't like it. What the heck? What? You didn't like the job, so you're just gonna quit. Now what you gonna do? I'm gonna find another job. Then he will find something on the internet, apply for it, and he would just constantly put out all these different resumes for these different jobs. And you know what I did? I decided that I'm gonna go into his resume and I'm gonna read what he got on there. A lot of the things that he had on his resume made no sense. And on top of that, it wasn't compatible to whatever job that he was applying for. And then there was some jobs he was applying for that was completely out of his league, that you had to have a degree or a master degree for it, and yet you're applying for it. Okay. And then there was times when I would say to him, you need to change your resume and make it suitable for whatever position you're trying to get hired for. And he would get mad and start raging at me about, I don't know what I'm talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. I can do anything. I can do it all. So you're a jack of trades, master of none. You know, you ain't master not one thing, and yet you're acting like you just good at everything. And I remember asking him when he would go on his interviews, what was the interview like? What happened? Well, I went in there and I talked to the guy and I said, you know, I can do your job. I said, what? Did you really say that? Yeah, because I can do his job. Now you're getting to understand the personality that my second husband had. He had a mind of a narcissist. He was a narcissist. Am I diagnosing him as a narcissist? Yes, I am, because he act just like one. And everything that he would do was always what he could do and what he can do better. And then when people did not acknowledge him in the things that he felt that he can do better, he gets mad, angry, and want to retaliate and do things to people. So Yeah, crazy, right? Yes, very. Anyways, I endured this man for 5 years dealing with this man. And I learned a lot dealing with him from my own self. I learned my strength, I learned my weaknesses, and I learned how powerful prayer and fasting really is. Instead of me fighting him, I prayed and I prayed. I fasted and I fasted. I had never fasted that much in my life until I got married to him. And when I got married to Nick, I was so crazy about fasting that I knew that I could not win in the natural with him. I had to fight a spiritual warfare with this guy because he was on a different planet and I have never dealt with anybody to this magnitude before. With him, in the way he acted and the things he just refused to do, there was just no way around it. I could have fought him naturally, but what good that was gonna do? Besides probably get me hurt because he was a really big guy. 6'4", 200 and some pounds, 50, 60 pounds, somewhere up in there. Muscles. Yeah, I know way. I'm gonna win on something like that. I'm 5'8", 175 pounds. Come on now. We're not gonna even fight like that. We're not even gonna try it. So in no way I was gonna try that. So and I'm older too. Nah, we ain't gonna do that. So what I had to endure was getting on my knees sometimes, pacing, walking around talking to God. As being a flight attendant, I will come to the hotel room and I will spend my time in my room fasting, praying, listening to scriptures when I didn't feel like reading them, or and listening to sermons about purpose, my purpose in life. What am I here for? I'm not here to just be somebody's punching bag or someone's wife to beat up on. What am I here for? Now, I did not mention about him when it comes to his faith. This is how he really got me. He made it seem like he was such a God-fearing man, that he loved God so dearly. And he preyed upon that with me because he knew that I am a God-fearing woman. He knew that I did look for guidance from God. And he will always say, I'm a king and you need to follow your king because I'm the lead. I'm the head of the house. Macho, you got to do what I say. I'm 9 years older than you, so I know more than you. That kind of stuff. And me, I don't care how old you are. Wisdom comes from God, not with age. Because if you have wisdom, you have sense enough to know that you're supposed to take care of your wife. A king take care of his queen. You're not doing that. You're always finding excuses not to work. And then he was trying to show me on the computer or on his phone all the applications that he filled out. And I'm looking like I already went through that. And I see that every job that you apply for is out of your lead. So that means that you're not going to get called for an interview. Or if you do get called for an interview, you're going to sabotage the interview because you don't really want to work. You don't want a job. He was always finding some kind of, gimmick to be doing. It's either he was selling insurance that he didn't want to get the license for. We would go to these classes, and I thought selling insurance was going to be a really good thing for him, because he was the type of person that he needed to be independent. He working on someone's job face to face, he wasn't gonna last. So I'm thinking, okay, we can do this. How about you get your license? And he didn't want to do it. He took the test one time, failed it, didn't want to go back to retest. And he thought he could just get around selling insurance without being licensed. The people would tell him over and over, we cannot help you until you get your license. You get your license, then we can set you up nicely to where you can have your own practice and do whatever. He would not get his license. Then he claimed he wanted to do real estate. I took him up on that offer too. I paid for real estate classes for him because he kept talking about it and he wasn't being about it. And I'm the type of person that if you say you're going to do something, I'm going to push you to do it, because if you are capable of getting it done, what are you sitting around for? So I decided that, hey, how about I take the real estate class with you? But I really don't want to be a real estate agent. So I'm just literally just doing this so we could study together, since it seemed that you have problems taking tests. Maybe if I can help you in your studying, then we can work together. We started off doing that. It kind of went pretty well for the first month. By the second month, I was passing him up in my study, and he wasn't even further than the first chapter. And I'm thinking, hey, when I'm working, you should be studying. That's your job right now. I would be okay with holding us down if you was to do your part. Go ahead and study, and you can get your license, and then we can go from there. It was always some excuse. Always some excuse. I don't have time. What you mean you don't have time? You're not working. Well, I'm out job hunting. That's not true. Because you just showed me applications everywhere. You're not trying to get a job. Stop lying to me. Well, come to find out, he was out all right, but it wasn't job hunting. He was out trying to be a gigolo, a hoe. Yeah, having sex with women, or at least acting like he can. And I say acting like he can because he also he was dealing with ED. Yeah, he had that problem. Now, why am I putting all this information out there? Because I literally had to deal with this in my marriage to this man. And to deal with it with the animosity that was coming from him. He literally told me to my face while we was leaving the church after church service on a Sunday, you are my problem. You're the reason why I have ED. You're the reason why I'm not working. You're my problem. You are my problem. I said, how in the world I'm the reason why you got erectile dysfunction? How did that work? No, you having diabetes and high blood pressure is why you have ED. You will not stop eating the food you're not supposed to eat. You don't exercise like you're supposed to. Yeah, you go ride your bike every now and then, but you're not literally taking it serious. And if I'm the problem, I got you on my medical insurance. We go to the doctor. The doctor tells you all these things about yourself. Even he's talking about your blood pressure. And yet you still don't do what they tell you to do. And then you take your medication every now and then instead of taking it every day like clockwork. But yet I'm your problem. So what he was doing was placing his blame on me because I'm the closest to him. And why not blame me when he felt that I was weaker than him and he felt that he was stronger than me and that he could take control of me? Yet again, I'm in another situation that my husband is trying to control. Not to mention, when he got mad, I was every name in the book. I was, you a bitch. I don't know how many times I was called a bitch with him. You bitch. You ain't shit. You think you all that? You ain't nothing but a bitch. Fuck you. Fuck you and your family. Fuck your mama. Fuck your brother. Fuck all y'all. And I'm thinking like, wow. Whew, Lord, I have changed. I have changed. Because in a situation like that, my rage would have went up. But yet, my rage is not there. I'm mad. I'm upset. But the rage is gone. Why? Because I have been praying. I have been fasting, and God has been changing me. The whole time I was praying and asking God to change my husband. Lord, change my husband. Change him, change him, change him. But God was working on me. He was changing me. And I had sense enough to know that he was changing me. But I kept asking him to change my husband because I didn't want to go through another divorce. I didn't want another failed marriage. I didn't want that. And I kept saying, okay, God, I know you hate divorce. So can you change my husband's attitude towards me? Can you help him to understand that I'm not his enemy? Can you get him to see that I am a good woman? I am a good wife. I don't cheat. I have not committed adultery. So what is all this coming from? Why is he so angry? What is going on? We end up getting counseling, and while we were sitting with the counselor, he mentioned to the counselor that he is angry with God because he feel that God brought all this upon him with going to prison, being falsely accused of rape, and he hate women. When he said that, I looked at him. I got quiet, and I could hear the Holy Spirit tell me, that's your answer right there. He hate women, and he's mad at me. He's not going to change until he no longer hates women and not mad at me. So this is why God was working on me instead of him, because he was reluctant, blocking out, but yet he was going through the motions of going to church, singing in the choir, and running around the church building like he just caught the Holy Ghost. And while he was doing that, running around the church building like he caught the Holy Ghost, he did it quite often. God is saying, look, that's just for show. I don't accept that. He's just showing the people in the building that he is sanctified and he's filled with the Holy Ghost when he's really not. And then I started looking at him differently. I started feeling sorry for him because it was getting pathetic to watch this man, 50 years old, acting like this. And I'm like, okay, God, what are you actually showing me? That he's not the only one. There's many others out there that is just like him. So I'm going to build you up. That way you can tolerate him a lot more and continue to pray for him. Don't take it personal. Stop taking it personal with what he does because it's not your fault. When I got to the point to where I was understanding that what he was going through had nothing to do with me, that's when I got deeper into my fasting, deeper into my praying. Then I started wanting to know how to discern spirits. I wanted to know what type of spirit I was dealing with in my home. God showed me that spirit. Ooh. But I was so new to it that I didn't realize how new I was, how detrimental it was to me. He showed me that I was dealing with the Jezebel spirit in my husband. He wanted control. And when he could not get control or get people to like him, he wanted people to like him, so he pretended to be something that he was not. And he wanted control. When he could not get control, he acted out and he wanted to hurt me because he could not control me. So that's when he wanted to hurt me. This particular day, when I found out that it was a Jezebel spirit I was dealing with in my husband, I was also fasting that day. And I remember being in the kitchen and he was arguing with me about something. I don't even know what it was. I can't remember what he was arguing about. But I literally turned to him and I said, I rebuke you, Jezebel. When I said that, he attacked me. He put his hands around my throat and started trying to choke me. And I say trying because I was fighting at that time. Now I'm fighting. Now I'm no longer just going to let you beat me down. I'm literally fighting him. I'm fighting him. I'm tussling. He slammed me on the kitchen floor. He's all over me. And yes, he's heavy and he's all over me. And I'm just trying my best to keep my hands in between his hand to keep him from choking me. And then I know we was right by the kitchen, the refrigerator. We was by the refrigerator. It was in the kitchen and we was by the refrigerator. And I opened the kitchen refrigerator door with the other hand and I kept slamming up against him, trying to at least try to do something to get this man to release his hands away from my neck. And he does. I wrestle myself up off the floor because we're still tussling. I'm still wrestling. We were literally rolling on this floor. And I get up and I grab my phone. He grabs my phone out of my hand and now we're tussling back and forth, playing tug of war, not playing, but we're literally tug of warring with each other on my phone. I'm trying to get my phone to run out the house. You would think it would just run out the house, but I'm going to run out the house. And what I ended up doing was releasing the phone. And I ran downstairs to the neighbor's house and I banged on their door with upstairs. And I banged on their door and I said, I need your phone. I need to call the police, call the police, call the police. And here I am, scarred all up, shirt torn, everything. And the girl downstairs, she didn't like him. And so she was happy to call the police. She couldn't stand him. And she called the police. Police shows up. He takes off. He's gone. But then he comes walking back towards the house. I had already made my statement with the police. The police told me this. The police said, I know y'all just got married, but you need to divorce him. He said it just like that. But when he said it, I was thinking, sir, are you married? And then I asked him, are you married? He said, no, I'm not. And so I didn't take him for face value because he was not married. And I'm thinking, like, you can't tell someone to just divorce, especially when they just got married. So it's to a point where I didn't want to hear nothing else he had to say. I was ready for the police to do whatever he got to do and be gone. Well, when the police walked downstairs, my ex-husband, he was walking up. Well, he was going to come up the stairs, but when he saw the police, he walked back downstairs, and the police said, sir, because I told him, I said, that's him right there. And police, sir, stop. So he stops, and then police sits and talks to him. I'm listening. I'm listening to this conversation, but my second husband, he didn't know I was listening. He thought that I wasn't listening. So I'm listening to the cop tell him, you cannot put your hands on your wife. That is a for sure way to go to jail. Let me hear your side of the story. So he tells his side of the story, but when he tells his side of the story, it's completely not the truth. And I was like, wow, he's just sitting there lying. But I did not want to go downstairs and say, he's lying. I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to add to it. So I stayed upstairs listening out the window. I had the windows up and I wanted to hear. And the cop said, where are you from, sir? He said, let me see your driver's license. He get the driver's license. At this time, he had a Nebraska license. He said, oh, so you're not even from Texas. So you don't even know what the real laws are here. You know that whether she pressed charges or not.
We'll be back after a quick break.
If you haven't already, check out my luxury shoe and bag collection, a Layla Cara style. Each piece is personally designed by me and handcrafted from genuine Italian leather. Whether you're dressing up or keeping it casual, these pieces were made to help you walk with confidence. Because real style starts from how you feel. Go to alaylacarolstyle.com and experience these bold, timeless, and completely all you. Check it out. You might find something you like. We can pick this up and take you in. How long y'all been married? And he was like, we've been married for, at this time, I think it was 10 months. No, it was 11 months because it was close to our first year anniversary. And he said, okay, well, y'all can't stay together tonight. You're going to have to separate. Well, I heard that part. I was already packing my stuff. That's when I started packing my stuff. I packed the bag. And I'm like, I'm going to leave. I'm not going to stay here. Because what I did not want for him to leave and then show back up later that night. So if I left, he didn't know where I was going to be and he could not show back up. So that's what I did. That was the first time that this man put his hands on me. That was the first time that I realized I was dealing with something deeper than flesh. This is different. I called that man a Jezebel and he went the hell off on me. That spirit did not like me saying its name. It did not like it. So it attacked. Well, let's fast forward. Yes, I ended up staying with him. We started going through counseling, but the counseling just wasn't working because he was not trying to do what he was supposed to do as a husband. He did not want to work. Yet again, he still don't have a job. And then when he did find something, he only stayed 2 weeks and then quit. There was this particular job that he ended up getting, and it was selling oil, which was a really good job because in the state of Texas, oh my goodness, Houston, oil, big. So I like, you hit the jackpot. You should definitely stay there. This man came up with all kinds of excuses not to stay. I don't like how the people are there. I don't like how they talk to me. I don't like that they trying to get me to do more than what I should be doing. What you talking about? You don't like, man, this is a good job. It got stable. Benefits are nice and the money is good. And I don't have to worry about paying all the bills no more. When he started getting his checks, he didn't pay no bills. Even with a job, you don't want to pay no bills. I just was thinking, like, this is just a disaster. How you don't want to pay bills and you got a job now? At first, I thought the problem was him not getting a job. And because he didn't have a job, he couldn't pay the bills. But then when he got a job, he still didn't want to pay the bills. He wanted to buy what he wanted to pay for. And it did not have anything to do with a bill. I decided that I wasn't paying no more bills except for the rent. So if the lights got cut off, the lights get cut off. Water got shut off, water got shut off. I didn't care because now this is just too much. And that's exactly what happened. The water got cut off, the lights got cut off because he still wasn't trying to pay any bill. But when I was gone and I was flying and I was at the hotel, he was at the house by himself with no water, no lights. Guess what he gonna do? He gonna pay them bills. And that's what he did. He ended up paying the light bill. But that happened 3 times because he figured, oh, well, she'll pay the bill next month. I'm not paying the bill next month either. Light got cut off again. He calls me up. I'm at work. It was like clockwork too. This is how I knew God was in it. Because the only time the lights got turned off, I was away at work. That was the only time the lights was off. The time the water was off, I was away at work. So every time that he was at home and I was gone, that's when the water was shut off. That's when the lights was shut off. It was divine. I knew God was in it then. And when I started seeing God's hand in it, that's when I started praying more, fasting more, getting out of the way and let God handle him. Because now God sees the wrongness. God is actually showing me that he have heard my prayers, that my fasting was not in vain. Now it's time for God to stand up, show up, and do what he was going to do. My husband got real sick, almost could have died. His diabetes flared up. He almost got his foot amputated because his foot had a sore. And it was real small too. It was a little bitty sore. And then it just opened up. And I mean, when I say to open up, his feet swelled up so bad. Pus was coming out of the sore. And that happened in a matter of 2 days. In them 2 days, he ended up at the hospital. I was at work. I ended up getting off from work, going to the hospital, wherever he was, because he had to take himself to the hospital. He spent a whole week. They was trying to get his blood pressure under control, and they were trying to get that foot right. And they told him that they would amputate his feet, because he had one feet that was doing it. They said they would amputate his feet if he did not show signs of healing. And they ended up taking him into foot surgery, and they were able to clean it out, and they waited to see what was going to be the results, if it was going to show any signs of healing, because if not, they was going to take his foot. And it did start showing signs of healing. So his cousin showed up and some pastors showed up, and we all prayed and prayed and prayed, and then he started showing some healing. That's how you know God is in it. Because I do believe that God was teaching him a lesson. I do. I believe God was showing this man, if you don't treat your wife better than this, and you keep taking out your anger on her, I'm going to take you out of here. So I started praying and asking God not to kill him. Yeah, that's how much love I had for him. But I did not want the craziness with it. So yes, I was like, God, show him who you are. Show him who I am. But don't kill him. Let him live. Let him live to see the power that you have so he can repent and come to you the right way and stop all this faking that he does. His social media full of him giving God praise, but then he living in hell because he's creating the hell at home. That has to stop. So yeah, I prayed and I prayed about that. My prayer changed for him. It went from God get him to God help him. It sure did. God, get him. And then it went from God help him. Please help him. He don't know what he's doing. He's just as silly as he could be. He needs your guidance. He needs your help. But at the same time, I was ready to end the marriage, but I didn't know how. And I didn't want to divorce on my own with him being sick and the things that was going on. So eventually, he healed completely with his foot, no longer walking on the crutches and stuff like that. I started feeling sorry for him because I saw what he was going through. And no matter what, he's still human. And you don't want that kind of problem on someone. You just want them to get their mental right and understand that they was causing these infliction upon themselves. So I read about Abigail in the Bible, how she was married to that fool, the king. And David, he was protecting the king's flocks, sheep, everything. David wanted some food. He just wanted something. And the king was like, forget them. I ain't giving them nothing. Literally disregarded that the fact that the reason why he still had his things was because David and his men was protecting it. Well, David got word of what the king, that fool, said, and he made it his mission. I'm going to kill him. Well, Abigail found out about it, and she realized that, yeah, my husband is a fool, but let me go to David. I'm going to bring food, water, whatever I can bring to make sure they have what they need. But I'm going to plead for my husband's life. Yeah, she did that. And she was like, my Lord, spare him. My husband is a fool. Please don't kill him. But you know what ended up happening? Her husband, the king, found out about what she did. He got so angry that he ended up having a stroke and died. So David didn't have to go kill him because God took him out himself. Because he allowed this man to show his rage, get angry, and give himself a stroke. He's out of there. And then what happened? Abigail married David. So this man ended up with his wife in the end. I related myself to her because I was married to a fool. And the whole time while I was married to him, I was able to plead with God about my situation. I stayed faithful to him. I did not commit adultery or any of those things. And I continued to fast. I continued to pray. And I realized that this wasn't going to be always. This wasn't going to be like this always. God showed me a dream that I was with another man. And I was rebuking that dream like, I don't want to be committing adultery. I did not have a clue that that wasn't adultery. That God was actually showing me that I wasn't going to be with my second husband for much longer. That we was going to divorce and I was going to remarry. I didn't see that being so. So I was praying against it. Like, God, that's not what I want. I really want my husband to get right. And God was showing me he's not going to get right. He's refusing to get right. And we're going to leave it at that. I'm going to move you out of that situation and let him go on with his life. And you're going to go on with yours because I have better plans for you. Jeremiah 29, chapter 11. It says, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, a plan for hope in the future, plans to prosper you. God knows what he had planned for me. And he knew that there was no way I was going to be able to stay married to that man and get the blessing that God had for me. He did not want my second husband to share in that blessing because he was already reaping benefits of what I had already had, such as being a flight attendant. We get free flights for our spouses. They can fly anywhere for free, all that kind of stuff. And plus, he's on my if he wasn't on my medical insurance, I don't know what that hospital bill would have been like. All those different things. Now it's time for him to be without me and for me to be without him. But it did not go down that easily because I wasn't willing to let it go. At this time, here I am trying to get custody of my nephew, which is my son now, and even the CPS, Child Protective Service, they even stepped up and told me they was gonna come and remove my son out of the house, my nephew at the time. They was gonna remove him because they no longer wanted my nephew to be in the home with him because they had did a FBI background check on him and found out some things in his past that they wasn't pleased with, and they like, we coming to get him out. You got two options. We're either gonna come get him or you need to file for a divorce from him. I was like, oh no, now they fight me against this too. Now I need to file for a divorce. Oh, but see, the problem is that I had with CPS was that I felt like they was already controlling too much as it is. I was refusing to get a divorce. I was refusing. Oh no, y'all not finna do. You're not already disrupted my life as it is. Now you want to take my husband away from me. That's how I was thinking, not realizing that God had his hands in this the whole time. So I was like, okay, you're not gonna come get my nephew out of the house, and I'm not finna divorce. So we're gonna have to figure something out. Well, CPS decided to go to the judge and talk to the judge about it. And then the judge agreed, and they sent me a letter telling me that I need to file for divorce, move out of the house, or have him move out of the house, or they're gonna come take my nephew. So now I got a choice. Is either this little 5-year-old boy or this big 50-year-old man. Which one is it? So I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm already having problems with this big 50-year-old man. And here it is, this 5-year-old boy who needs a home and a future. And this is my flesh and blood, and I love him dearly. I got to make a choice. But I was still having a hard time with making the choice. I was. So CPS, the judge, also put in the letter, if you want to stay with your husband, you can remarry him after the adoption is final. But we will not allow him to adopt your nephew. He will not be able to do it. But by the state of Texas, when a husband and wife is married, they must adopt together. There's no one person who can do it. The wife can't do it, the husband can't do it. They must do it together. So I saw a light at the tunnel with that, but then I said to myself, if I divorce him, I ain't marrying him again. That ain't gonna happen. Because what he just put me through, all this stuff that I've been going through for these 5 years with this man, oh no, I would not remarry him. God helped me make that decision a whole lot sooner. Because here it is again, he puts his hands on me again. This time, I wasn't taking this abuse. I was not going to allow him to get away with it this time. That was my only sign I needed to be clear that we was going to be over. To be clear. Because thank God that my son was not at the house when he did it. My son was somewhere else. He was with my mom. But, because he was spending the summer with my mom. Here it is. This is what? July 15, 2020. Yes, I know the exact date. That was our last time together. When he hit me in my face, busted my lip with those keys. And then even after that, he kept on coming at me. He kept coming at me. And I was trying to get out of the house. He kept coming at me. And what God showed me was when I was sitting down on the bed and I was crying out to God, telling him, I'm done. I hear you loud and clear. I'm going to get a divorce. I'm going to leave him. He comes in the room and he tries to apologize and say he's sorry. I'm sorry. But see, he had said that he was sorry way too many times. So when he said he was sorry, it didn't mean nothing to me because once something pisses him off, he went right back at his old habits. And I knew that his sorry didn't mean nothing. So I told him I wasn't accepting his apology, his sorries, because yes, I kept saying, yeah, you are sorry. I ain't accepting none of that. He decided to get mad all over again. I have cameras in my home. I had cameras in my home at that time. I pulled up the footage and I started watching everything back. And while I was watching it, the Holy Spirit was talking to me, telling me, This is who he really is. This is the monster that's in him, and he's choosing to be this way. It's not going to get any better from here. You need to let him go. There's no reason to accept him back. I got something better in store for you. To protect yourself and your son, you got to let him go. So that's what I did. I went back to the house after he was gone. I changed the locks on the door so he couldn't come back in. I changed the password to the camera so he couldn't be watching me inside. And then I packed up all his stuff. And I also made sure that he knew that I was packing his stuff. And then I paid for a storage and I stuck all his things into the storage. And I was done with him after that. And that was pretty much it. Then I ended up filing for divorce. And that was that. My denial days was over. And I was set free. I'm signing out. Layla. Are you feeling overwhelmed and exhausted by stress? Introducing Stress Management with Imaging Coaching, your ticket to a calmer, more balanced life. In this journey you will be taking with us here at Imaging Coaching, we'll equip you with powerful techniques and tools you can use to conquer stress, regain control, and transform your life. From deep breathing exercises to mindfulness practices, you'll discover the tools to relax your mind and body. Come join us on this transformative path and unlock a world of inner peace and resilience. Don't let stress hold you back any longer. Take charge of your well-being today with Imaging Coaching, your stress management team. Discover clarity. Defeat stress through Imaging Coaching at imagingcoaching.com, at imagingcoaching.com, at imagingcoaching.com, at imagingcoaching.com.